Welcome, everyone, to another amazing episode of Beyond Boardroom Business. I'm your host, Coach Stephanie, and I have the honor of interviewing trailblazers and leaders and people you should know. And so, without further ado, let me invite my next guest, which is Miss Tanya Guerrero. How are you today?
I'm wonderful, wonderful, Stephanie. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Oh,
much for inviting me on today.
definitely, definitely. When I saw your bio and learned about you, I was like, I have to get you on this show
Oh,
because
wow.
the different things that you have gone through to make you the powerful person that you are now, people need to know about that. So,
Absolutely.
without further ado, who is Tanya Guerrero?
Well, Stephanie, first and foremost, I am a child of God. My journey has been very inspiring, but who I am, life coach. I'm an author. I'm a mother. I'm a newly grandmother, a new grandmother, as they say, to my beautiful granddaughter, and my son is about to make me another grandmother of my first grandson. So
Oh,
I'm very excited about that. So I have a huge legacy of things I have to work towards. So
oh,
yes,
well, congratulations.
thank
It sounds
you,
like you
thank you.
your hands full. So, can you tell us about your life coaching? What do you do specifically regarding that?
So I like to talk to, not just women, but a lot of people in general, just to, help them on a journey of learning how to love themselves. So, or just, be accountable for who they are, or what they're wanting to do. I've experienced in the past where a lot of people who are just really stuck in a place, and they just don't know the next step or how to get to the next step. So my job is to nudge them, help them, guide them in the right way. And what I've noticed is a huge impact on where they're trying to go. Some people are just really, they'll start a task but don't know how to finish it. So, I'm holding them accountable. This is your life. Let's stay on task, and let's get some things happening so that you can be a better you.
That is so true, and it is so needed. And thank you
Mhm.
for standing up and representing life coaches. I as well am a life coach, and it is definitely people that need our services because a lot of people need help, and that's what we're here for. So thank you again. But let's get started with how you got started. Are you from America? Have you had mentors while you were growing up? Who made you who you are?
Oh, so yes, I am definitely from America. I am no, so I grew up in a little small town in North Carolina, but I, you know, grew up in the South in Georgia, but I've developed I don't know how to say this. I've been around a lot of different places.
Okay.
Um but I've allowed myself to just pick up little things I don't want to say characteristics, but different things about people that I've allowed myself to, just kind of connect with. Growing up in the South, and it allowed my journey to just manifest into this woman I am today. But there's a lot to it, though. I don't know where we're going to start, but I'll definitely
Right.
share.
Right, because I
Mm,
understand that you are also an author.
yes.
And can you tell us about the book called Released?
Yes, yes. So this version of release is actually the second
Okay.
copy of it. This is the special edition of the first one. Released was eh, the story. What happened to me happened over 30 something years ago when I was 17 and 18 years old. I was around very, very young. Um, I grew up, of course, got older, and I ended up getting into a book club. And the women that I was with the book club, they, I shared my story, the horrific story that I was in, and they were like, Tanya, you gotta write your book. You gotta tell your story. And I was really hesitant. I promise you, it was not something that nowhere in my mind was I thinking about writing the story. But it for many years I started because it was so much of my story. Like I would be able to share it, and I knew it was starting to become therapeutic for me because it was so horrific. I knew that the more I was sharing my story, I was feeling more comfortable and more at ease from,
Yes.
the heartache that I had dealt with. So the first book that I wrote, I published it in 2018,
Okay.
and it took me literally 30 days to write the story because
Wow.
it was something that I've been spilling out so much that when I started writing, it just happened. And
Wow.
so I ended up finishing that. But then that book, people were asking me, like, Tanya, what's going on with you now? Because the way I ended that book, it was like, where's Tanya? What's going on with her? Because I shared what happened, but where am I at now? So in 2024, I decided to rewrite my book, and I implemented more of my self love journey. So I had to make sure, so I wanted to share with a lot of my readers and people who know me, who are very close to me. I wanted to share what my journey of loving myself, how I was able to take that horrific experience and then just push it into where I'm at today. And since then, man, my book ended up in the New York Times, 2024, in December at the New York Times Book Review, which I have right here. I don't know if you can see
Awesome.
it, but this was the 2024 book review that my book was featured in. And that was just amazing for me. I was so excited to even be a part of that, in which, from there it just went. Um, mhm. I'm
So,
sorry.
so can you tell us a little bit about the book and what happened?
So yeah, absolutely. So when I was 18, I was in it was a horrific relationship,
Okay.
and it was where I shared very, very detailed information about what I endured. I was kidnapped. I was, held
Ooh,
at gunpoint. It was nothing but the grace of God. And that's why, I give all the glory to him, because every moment, every, every time, any time that I was in that space, I was on my knees, I was praying. And not
yes.
only did I have praying family, my mother, she was, I mean, just praying alongside, just making sure I was okay. I was very rebellious. Okay, remember 18.
Right?
I was rebellious. I
Yes.
was doing things I probably shouldn't have done, but
Yes.
I wasn't listening. And I thought I had all the answers, and I didn't. But and it was a hard lesson for me, but I thought I knew everything at that time. So this man was doing everything to make me feel good. He was saying the right things, but he was pulling
Mm,
me away from my family, my friends, and he wanted to just shield me, to say, you know what, you don't need them. I'm yours. I'll take care of you.
yes.
But let me step back just a little bit. So where all of that insecurity came from, my father was murdered when I was very young. And
Wow.
when he was taken away from me like that, I was the baby. I am the baby, but when he was taken away so abruptly,
Yeah.
I just went into, this little dark space,
Yeah.
and I didn't want anything. I just needed someone to protect me. I needed, like my dad did. And that's what he did. He shielded me, he protected me, he spoiled me. It was just, And so when he was taken, here comes this man. He was tall, he was handsome, he was just giving me, everything that I felt I needed when my father passed away. And so with
Mm.
him knowing all of that, he took it,
Yes.
honestly, took advantage
Yeah,
of
it did.
that. And he felt that, hey, I'm going to take care of you and I'm going to protect you and I'm going to do
Ooh,
everything. And so when it started to, it was a lot. But when I started to realize that it was becoming just way intense, too
yes.
much for me to even, just do on my own. Just it was just a lot. And I couldn't go back. I didn't want to hear "I told you so" from my family and to my
Yeah,
parents. And so the
yeah, yeah,
more the more I was,
yeah,
stopping to hear that from my family, the more I kept going towards him.
yes.
And then I just got so further in it, deep into it, to where I didn't even know how to get out of it myself.
Yeah.
And so that part was just, it was a mess. And so I ended up marrying this man,
Okay.
um at a very young age. And when I ended up giving all of myself to him, that's, again, it just got worse.
Yep.
But I met a young lady, which was a mutual friend of ours. She was the one that, she was an angel. She was definitely, an angel from God that came to save me from that time. And she helped me with knowing, who I am, not so much of where how to get out of it. She was just, who she was inspiring to me. I kept saying, I was like, Kylie, she's beautiful, she's strong, she's smart, she has, and I kept seeing it because I knew that about myself, but I lost it. I lost that person in him.
That's
And
right.
so when I started to really get in, when she was starting to really show me this woman who, I was so inspired by, I started to say, you know what, I need to leave, I need to go. And so fast forward, I was doing everything. I put a plan together, me and my sister and my brother-in-law, we did a plan. And I went to work one day and I just never went home. And so I left the situation, and it was, like I said, it was extremely hard for me. But I was at a point where I said, either I'm going to have to do it. I can't continue to allow myself to, subject to this type of behavior, and knowing
Yeah.
that, I'm not this person. So
Yeah.
yeah. So when I
So
left, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. Go ahead. When you left.
Yeah, when I left him, that's when everything just started to just spiral out of even more control, which
Oh,
then so the abuse got worse. He then realized when didn't come home that day, oh my God, he went crazy. And that's when I was kidnapped, held at gunpoint.
oh, wow.
Um, and the FBI and everybody got involved with it. It was horrible. But I am so grateful every single day that I'm here.
Yes, yes. Wow. So how long did it take for him to meet you and caress you and get you into that cage? How long
That is,
was the time?
yeah, that's a good question. So I met him at 17.
Okay.
Met him at 17. So I would say it was probably within, with right in that couple of months, right? I mean, just initially, because I'm gonna tell you, when I first saw him, it was his presence, it was his, who he was,
Yeah.
that allowed me to really connect and feel safe. And
Yeah.
so, and he
Yeah.
put, mhm.
This is it sounds so familiar to me because I left um, an abusive uh, gentleman in Chicago, and that's why I'm in Georgia to this day.
Okay.
And the same steps, the same process, separating me from my family and friends, and just all the different things. And like you said, when you get that realization that you got to leave, it's
Yeah.
time to go, and
It's
you
time.
still have emotional connections with this person. So just
Yeah.
all of the challenges and everything that's going on internally, but you
Mm.
know that you have to save yourself. Is this what inspired you to become a life coach?
Oh yeah. So because just like what you're sharing your story, I'll be honest. I felt like I was the only one that had endured this form of abuse. And
Yeah,
when I would share my story, someone would say, like what you said,
yeah,
this is what I also endured. So I was beginning to notice that it wasn't just me. And I
yeah.
was like, Kylie, what is going on? So then the longer, and we're in 2025. So I all these years have passed, and sitting and talking to women and just hearing stories. And then we're talking women in their 60s and 70s that I have heard stories from that blew my mind. And
Wow.
so as I'm going through the many, stories that people have shared with me, I'm like, wow, you know what? I need figure out some way to help
Yeah.
other women. And so not only did I want, I wrote the book, but I was like, there's more to it because not everyone's going to sit down and read a book. So
Right.
let's figure out what can I do to help women in a space where, they're comfortable, they're feeling good about themselves. Let's work on helping you be a better version of yourself.
I love it. That's
Mhm.
beautiful. And it's so necessary. And again,
Mhm.
thank you for stepping up and standing within your calling and helping, because as you mentioned, so many women go through this. And
Mhm.
I just finished working out with my one of my daughters, and we were talking about the incest and different things that go on inside of people's houses, and it's just too
Mhm.
much madness going on, and it's everywhere. And so thank you. Do you have like workshops or retreats or anything to help women?
So, initially, I'll say, and I think what I've done lately, I started to really focus on my new book. All right, this is the one I just started. So the actual life coach, I'm about to in 2026. I will be putting together workshops, weekend
Awesome.
retreats,
I
because
love
with this last book that I just finished promoting, it has generated a lot of attention
it. Mhm.
to women who just really need an outlet. And I didn't realize that. Initially, it was just a few life coaches here meets with some women that I was life coaching. But then I realized, I said, you know what? I like the retreats. I want a weekend retreat, a
Yes.
quarterly one that I
Right.
want to start to generate for women to just embrace
I love it.
themselves. So that's my goal for 2026 is to start on workshops and work on retreats for women. And you mentioned, um, households. Let me step back too with my daughter, who actually inspired me
Hmm.
to write the book because she was 18, the same age I was when I
Mm.
did. So I had to make sure that
Yeah.
she read my story, that she knew what I went through. I didn't want to hide her from it like my mom did. My mother kind of hid,
Mhm.
her experience. So I knew there was something that I had, something that was embedded in me that I wasn't aware of, that I
Yeah.
was able to receive this type of man. But my mother endured a form of abuse with my father when
Wow.
before, because they divorced. And so, speaking to her, she shared a lot that it was like a wake up call. It's like, okay, now this is making sense. But a lot of
Right.
people don't realize, you know, the abuse, or people who are abusive have something that they've experienced as a child. And
Yeah.
so they, have either suppressed it, and then, as an adult, now you're abusing your relationships because you just didn't, you didn't take care of what was going on with you as a child, or you didn't know. You thought that was normal behavior. So
Yes.
I wanted to make sure that my daughter understood, or heard my story. And so she was more of the inspiration to the reasons why, because I wanted her to make sure that if there ever was a guy that came into your life, I need you to, just pay attention to the signs, understand what is going on, so you're not in an abusive relationship.
Victimized. So the cycle stops with you.
It
That's what.
stops with me. That is
Yeah.
exactly it. And my granddaughter, I have a granddaughter now too. It's like, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. And if I
I,
ever, don't let me
I,
find out.
I know.
Don't
And
let me.
this is October. This is domestic
Domestic violence.
violence. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Awareness month. Hmm.
So, what kind of advice can you give someone that might be going through that experience right now?
So I want to, the advice, and it's hard. And the reason I'm saying is it's hard because there's a part of this person that feels the need to have someone that's going to, still tell them they love them, or
Yeah.
still tell them they're beautiful. Whereas on the other side of that conversation, they're talking down to them, or beating them up or slapping them, but then turns around and say, I love you.
Yeah.
I want you to, if I just understanding how much that is not normal. That's not something that you need for yourself, for someone, another person
Yes.
to talk down to you, another
Yes.
human being,
Yes.
just to say something negative and make you feel, because people don't realize the worst form of abuse is verbal. It's not
That's
the
it.
physical. It's
Right.
what is being said, because now you're holding on to what someone is telling you,
Yes.
and you're thinking that that's who you are, versus, you know, you not being this person that's feeling like you have to have validation.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
need and you don't need validation from another human being. You have to learn to love you first. And
Yes.
when you can get that, so if a person is in it, so when you ask what do I say to a person who is in an abuse, it's when they're in it, if they're currently in an abusive relationship, they have to really, really look in the mirror and say, I'm done, enough, it's
Yes.
enough. And then
Yes.
you can walk away from it and then be released. And that's where with my book being released, called Release, it's a universal word. Releasing just doesn't mean for me,
Yeah.
right? It means releasing and letting go what is holding you from being who God has designed you to be.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. She
So,
was right.
hmm so
Wow.
just so let it go. Hmm.
Well, yeah, that is true, and thank you for giving that tip because you're making me go back in time to when that gentleman
Hmm.
that I was with in Chicago, and it wasn't physical; it was mental
Mental.
abuse. Yes,
Mm.
and I guess the the impact that got me to leave was that, to make a long story short, he was upset with me and he pushed me and I tripped and I hit my head on the wall and I didn't think anything of it. And so it ended up being a knot on my head.
Yeah.
I've had it removed, but I remember looking in the mirror, as you mentioned. I looked in the mirror and I said, Stephanie, do you love yourself? And
Hmm.
if you do, you have to go.
Yeah.
And it just all of the emotions,
Yeah.
because it's they really put an act on you when they get you in this. And I didn't want to tell my
Vulnerable.
father because I
Yeah.
didn't want
Oh
I know
gosh, no.
my father would have been I didn't want my father to just, go to jail or anything. So I was like, I said, I just come on down to my mother's side of the family
Yeah.
down here in Georgia. And
Hmm.
yeah, I've never looked back, but it's definitely real. And um, the self-esteem that also helped improve my self-esteem and helped me get closer to God, because I
Absolutely.
always knew about God, but until you go through an experience, then you it's like, okay,
Yeah.
now I understand. And
Mhm.
yeah, so again, I'm glad and thankful that you put it in a book and that you have retreats coming up. If
Yeah.
you ever need a speaker or anything, you let me know,
Oh, of
because
course.
yeah, I wrote
I promise you, I'm
also.
holding you to that
Yes,
because
definitely.
I would love it if there absolutely what you gonna show me.
My first
Oh,
book, Image is Everything.
see?
What does your say about you is a self-help workbook, and I wrote this in 2012, and
Yeah.
I turned it into a curriculum and created girl groups after school. But it's all about the self-esteem and self-love, and so you know
Mhm.
this is
And self
definitely so important.
so and that's exactly right. If you can when you have low self-esteem, it's hard to look in the mirror and know that that this person that you're looking at is uniquely designed for
Yes.
you. And so embrace that person, love that person, because
Yeah.
the man that you're with, he's lucky to be with you. That's how
Hello.
you have to that's how you have to look at yourself. And this is where I'm at now. And so in my current book, I share the journey that I'm at. And I chose to be single because I want to be ready for the right man. I don't want to
Yes.
just get married or be in a relationship just because everyone else is in one. I need
Exactly.
it to be exactly what what God needs it to be, what I'm comfortable with as well.
Definitely,
You
definitely.
know?
And we teach people how to treat us. So it's a process, it's a mental process to get
Hmm.
through these type of challenging times. And you and I, we just woke up and we, with the help of the community, we got out of our situations, and we definitely encourage others to do that as well. And
Hmm.
you said you have some more books coming out?
Yes, I do. So, and they're fiction, whereas mine, of course, is a memoir. I don't know if you. This is the one that I just published. The 13 other short stories are really just stories of couples who have gone through a horrific relationship, but I didn't want it to be anything that, ended in a bad note. So
Yes.
each short story just shows how you can, go into something, acknowledge some of the signs that are not, is not good for you, and you're able to walk away from it and, and get help. there's
Yeah.
there's there's resources out there for everyone to tap into that can help you, not only just your friends, but there's other resources to help you with abuse or even
Yeah.
knowing the signs of abuse. And
Yes.
then I did do another story. Again, I haven't published them. We'll talk about that later. But the one book that I did finish, that one is, like I said, it's a fiction, but it's about a young boy who witnessed his father abuse his mother. And
Ooh.
mhm. So I wanted to tap into more so of the younger generation because what they see,
Yes.
they're going to mimic and think that's okay. So when he saw his father abuse his mother, what he was able to do was, as he grew up into his adulthood, he made it a point to not be who his father was. And so he understood, that what was happening with him and how his, father abused his mom. He wanted to make sure that he did not, pour that type of behavior into his own, his own marriage and life. So that was the one story. And another one was like a short novel, and this one is about a young lady who also was in an abusive relationship, but she found peace. She found love again. She learned to live again. She was able to just start all over without having to continue the cycle of abuse as she, grew in her life. And the same thing with you and I. We learn you we have to learn from our mistakes. We learn from the behaviors that we've gone through. A lot of people don't, and they have that repeat cycle, and
Yeah.
that's where it can get hard for some people. You want them to just say, "Hey, listen, I'm done. I can't do this anymore."
Right. Right.
Mhm.
And that's why it's so important that these memoirs that you have coming out are so crucial, because it can
Mhm.
help those that may see themselves in that situation. Or like
Yes.
you said, a young man, it's a lot of young men that are looking for guidance, and you just never know. They might find it in a book. So it sounds
Yes.
really very interesting. So how can people find you?
You can find me on pretty much all the platforms, but my website is www.authortanyaguerrero.com. I'll post a lot of different things in regards to, any podcast, of course, any um, retreats or workshops. I'll keep all those updated.
Oh, awesome. This has been a great, great conversation. I would love for you to come back in the future so we can follow up and see what's going on with your book launches, your retreats, and your
Yes, ma'am.
workshops. Is that cool?
Absolutely. It was my pleasure, Coach
Yeah.
Stephanie. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Okay, everyone, I hope you all enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. Again, this is October, Domestic Violence Abuse Month. And if you know anyone that's going through any type of situation, verbal, physical, any type of situation, make sure you reach out to life coach Tanya Guerrero. And her website again is author Tanya Guerrero. And that is spelled author, AUTHOR, Tanya, TONJA, and Guerrero, GUERRERO.com. Thank you all again for watching another amazing episode of Beyond Boardroom Business with your host, Coach Stephanie. And until the next time, stay prayerful, stay powerful, and stay present. Peace.